Welcome back to Cryptid Mysterious. If you're new here and you enjoy Bigfoot encounters, you've come to the right place. I'd appreciate you smacking that subscribe button and stick around. I'm sure you'll enjoy today's episode. Today's Bigfoot encounter comes to us from Cheryl and Charles. Cheryl begins. My husband and I, for many years, made Maine our go-to spot for summer getaways. This whole attraction for Maine had begun after the two of us had shared a read of Henry David Thoreau's book, The Maine Woods. This was actually our sixth summer vacation in the state. We were camping and canoeing at the Katahdin Woods and Waters. I remember the day of the incident as if it were yesterday. It was August 27th, 1971. The two of us, having risen early from our night's slumber, had prepared a campfire, breakfast, and afterwards slipped our canoe into the lake for a morning paddle. There was a heavy mist floating on the lake that morning. The sun had not yet risen enough to burn it off as we began our paddle, slowly following the contour of the lake's eastern shoreline. The lake's appearance was like that of a mirror, with the trees along its edge reflecting on its surface. As we were paddling and approaching one of the many bends on the lake's shore, we rounded it to see a cow moose standing ankle deep in the water at the lake's edge. She was about 100 yards away from us as she slowly lifted and turned her head to view the intruders. Moments later, sensing no apparent threat from us, she lowered her head again into the lake and began to eat some of the submerged vegetation. She was standing in the reflection in the shade of the trees along the shore, as we watched her for maybe 20 or more minutes. At some point, Charles whispered to me that he saw something black moving in the brush maybe 50 feet behind the cow, and now both of us had our eyes fixed on the bank. We were seeing what appeared to be a lump of black fur, occasionally protruding from over the top of the brush, and edging closer to where the cow was in the water. Yet she was totally unmoved by what we were seeing, apparently unaware of what was moving close behind her. What happened next was astounding, to say the least. A creature of incredible proportions leapt out of the brush, and with two large strides was on the cow, smashing her down headlong into the shallows. She barely turned her head when the beast prevailed upon her. The beast, which we now realized was a Bigfoot, had driven her head into the lake bottom with her legs kicking and moving briefly as death took hold of her. The Bigfoot, up until that point in time, was unaware of our presence on the lake. Shortly after the kill, it stood up, rising to its feet, and turning to look directly at us. The water in which we sat was only about 2 feet deep, and the spot in which the beast stood, the water level was more than likely less than a foot. I know Charles was thinking exactly what I was. In these shallows, that creature could have run us down in a matter of seconds and done us in, as it had with the moose. The two of us immediately started to redirect the canoe and paddle out into deeper water as fast as we could. The Bigfoot stood its ground, staring us down as we made our way out into the lake. As we paddled quickly to a point where we now knew it would be harder for him to catch us, we felt safe enough to stop and watch. It was at this point that the Bigfoot grabbed the cow around the neck in somewhat of a chokehold and dragged her carcass out of the lake into the trees. As you could well imagine, the two of us, having seen this attack take place in such violent fashion, were in a complete and utter state of shock. It was akin to having a bomb explode in the middle of the night as you slept. The brush on the bank was maybe 3 or 4 feet tall and this creature had to have been crawling through it in order to get close enough to the cow to launch his attack. The speed with which it was able to close the gap from the bank to the moose was incredible. The Bigfoot must have covered 40 or 50 feet in just a few leaps as it landed on the moose's back. It was visibly at least a couple feet taller than the moose's height. Even in this hunched position on the moose's body, when it stood over the moose and turned its gaze toward us, it had to have been all of 9 feet tall and as big as a house, standing defiantly and facing us. Its arms hung out away from the body, apparently forced to do so because of the size and dimensions of its musculature. As it stood in the misty shadows, the Bigfoot's fur appeared to be almost black in color and virtually covered its entire body. The other incredible aspect of this event was the apparent ease with which the beast was able to carry away its kill. I have no idea how much this moose weighed, but it was at least as big as a large horse, and the Bigfoot wrapped its arm around its neck and casually walked away with it into the trees. It didn't struggle with it or drag it so much as a foot. It simply picked it up and walked away like it was nothing at all. We didn't see any blows thrown by the beast either. It seemed to just drive the cow's head into the lake bottom in somewhat of a chokehold, and it was all over and done with rather quickly. And that's where our Bigfoot encounter comes to an end. Well, guys, it may have been short and sweet, but these stories, I love them all. If you've had an encounter with a Bigfoot or anything mysterious, throw me an email to cryptidmysterious@gmail.com. And if you're still here with me, I'd like to ask you a question. I was actually kind of considering throwing some different types of stories in here. I'm interested in all kinds of different mysterious things, and honestly, at the end of the day, I never intended this channel to be, Bigfoot only. But that's what I've been doing lately. But if there's anything else out there, maybe you can drop it in the comments that you'd be interested in hearing about. I don't know, ships or airplanes disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle, or dogman encounters, or, I'm not so into, murder mysteries. I know this is Cryptid Mysterious, but I don't know, I'm kind of throwing around ideas about throwing in or mixing up the content a little bit. If there's anything out there that you watch that entertains you, and that what do you listen to regularly? There's a bunch of different things that I could read here on the channel, and I would enjoy it, and I would just hope that you would enjoy it too. And the last thing I want to do is throw some stuff here out on the channel that doesn't really apply to anybody that's tuning in here, and I don't want to waste anybody's time. Yours, mine, This is supposed to be fun, and the last thing I want to do is make it less fun. So I'd like your feedback on that, Is there anything out there you'd like to hear, or is there a story that you know of that you'd like to hear more about? Maybe I could, do some Googling and investigating and find something out about a particular story, and once I find something, I can do an episode on my findings. If you know of a certain cryptid story that you've heard of, but you haven't heard enough of, or, whatever. I'd appreciate you throwing me some ideas. I'm certainly not out of stories here. I absolutely have more than I can handle, and I'm going to toss them out as often as I absolutely can, as time allows. But, like I said, I was just thinking about mixing it up a little bit. I know personally I like listening to, when I tune into something for entertainment, I like to get what I'm expecting to get. So if it ends up being something else, for example, I listened to a channel that for a few years that would talk about near-death experiences, and then all of a sudden the channel started talking about alien encounters. And as entertaining as alien encounters are, that's not what I was there for. So just, I guess by nature of the fact that I was not there to hear about aliens, I started tuning out, so that's the kind of thing I'm trying to avoid here. I mean, I could keep going on Bigfoot. I love it. They're super entertaining and fun. And I just like your feedback, I love engaging with you guys in the comments section. As limited as my time is, I do what I can to get in there. So, throw me some feedback if you would. I appreciate y'all. I enjoy you enjoying my content. And like I said before, feel free to shoot me an email. Anything you got, any kind of mysterious encounter whatsoever, or mysterious experience. Doesn't necessarily have to be with a Bigfoot, or even maybe you have a mysterious war story from your grandpa or something, Feel free to shoot me an email. I love to hear them all. And I thank you so much for hanging out with me. It really makes it worth my time when I see all the interaction and the subscribes and the like button and all that good stuff. So I really do enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I'd really love it if you give me some feedback. And again, thank you all for hanging out. I will see you in the next one.